What's up, guys? I have blogged about R.I.F, aka Rappin Is Fundamental, several times before. Videos or blogs, about their independent 12-inch, their rare first 12-inch, their overseas exclusive remix, their demo tape, their obscure internet comeback, So I've been covering them a lot because I'm a huge fan of them. And today, well, I just got one more. So here we go. Notice here beside me is an album by Easy Mo Bee, huge, mega important hip hop producer who's produced for like everybody. From like Eminem to Biggie Smalls and all that kind of stuff. He's just one of those big guys, right alongside Marlon Morrow, Pete Rock, and stuff like that. Um, and of course, he is one of the three members of Rappin' Is Fundamental. It's his group, so he produces all their stuff. He raps and sings with them. That's why Easy Mo Bee sometimes does rap. It's because he's, a rapper who was a part of a group early on, and pretty much to this day, I don't know if they're quite together now, but they stayed together for a long time. And certainly at least some of the members keep working together, so maybe we can get into that more at the end of the video. But anyway, so this was his big producer album. So, he produced the album, and every song is a different big guest star, from like Gangstar to Rod Digga. This came out in 2000 on Rarity Records, so, big in 2000. The stars at the time. And so, completely unsurprisingly, there is a riff song on the album. Because again, that's his group, he's promoting them, it's his group, not only like he's managing them, overseeing them, he is one of them. It is his group, so naturally they're on there. Easy Mo Bee also has a solo song on there where he raps, and of course he does production on the whole album. He produces the riff song. That's not what I'm really videoing about. That's not Rare Obscure. This is a very well-known album, especially first time in 2000. And obviously there's a riff song on there. But what's interesting is this. This is a promo-only pre-release that came out before the album, that got sent out to magazines and stuff like that to review, promo-only, which has an extra Rappin' Is Fundamental song. It still has This Beat Is Mine, which is a song that's on the CD and on every album that everybody's got. But it's got another riff song as well. And pretty much everybody only got one song, so I imagine maybe that's why it got taken off. Because, he got one song by everybody and then two by Riff. But then again, it's his own group, so it makes sense. But anyway, who cares? Not on the album, not anywhere else, but only on the promo cassette. Rappin' Is Fundamental, the song's called Three Bros. Now, between the two songs, I can see why this one got pulled off. It's dope, it's good, but, it's a little simplistic and it's a little unexciting. Like, it's a nice beat, but it's kind of a subtle, understated beat. All three guys kick verses, but nothing really mind-blowing. There's no great punchlines or anything like that. They're solid verses. They sing a little bit in the hook, because that's what Rappin' Is Fundamental does, by the way, despite their name being Rappin' Is Fundamental. Their whole thing is doo-hop style. That's kind of the genre that they not only, they created and still are the only guys who do it. So a mixture of, doo-wop singing and rapping. And so they do a little bit of singing on the hook, but you can just sort of tell, they didn't make a big production out of this song. He got a dope beat, each one kicks it on there, but this is not a song that they spent, months crafting and, coming up with some genius ways to trade bars and everything like that. It's kind of a quick, simplistic song. But it is dope, especially if you're a Rappin' Fundamental fan like me, it's really exciting to hear because, again, their catalog is unfortunately kind of small. They only have really one album, and then they have some singles and guest spots, and, you can hear them singing on, a Master Killer single, and, they did some stuff with Big Daddy Kane. But, if you want to hear Rappin' Is Fundamental, there's just the one album. So anytime you can find these rare singles and stuff like that, it's extra exciting. And they are really great. I mean, admittedly, lyrically, they are pretty simplistic. That's kind of their weak point. But voices, fantastic. Flows, fantastic. The whole innovative style of this doo-hop is incredible. They sound great as singers. That's why they're able, I think, over the years, even if they aren't working as Rappin' Is Fundamental and putting out albums and stuff, that they're still singing back up on, Tupac records and stuff like that. Even when they did those albums after he died and all that kind of stuff, and they're remixing his old vocals and stuff, they're doing background vocals on there because Easy Mo Bee is one of the big guys producing those kinds of stuff, so they keep working, and that's why. They sound great, they're really talented, and Easy Mo Bee is an incredible producer, and so, they're never really going to go away, even though they might also never really come back. So I can see why they did away with Three Bros, but it is still a dope song. And now, if you were paying attention, you watched my old video about the Rappin' Is Fundamental demo tape that I did, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I guess. You might remember, if you're really on point, that one of the songs was called Three Brothers from Bed-Stuy. And so that probably sounds kind of similar. Three bros, three brothers from Bed-Stuy. And if you listen to this song, Three Bros, the hook actually kind of goes, we're three brothers from Bed-Stuy. Bed-Stuy, sorry. So Yeah, there's definitely a connection there, but it's not the same song, and it's not like original version and a remix. Like, it's a totally different song. The lyrics are all different. The verses are different. The beat is completely different. The singing on the hook is different. The only thing that's the same is that they kind of bring back that phrase and use it as a hook, which makes sense because I'm, at that point they're like, nobody's ever heard the song. It's an unreleased song, so why not use it here? So I knew about this tape for a long time because I remember reading reviews that actually, or at least one review that talked about this album as having 2 riff songs on it. And when I bought the album, the commercial release, I was disappointed that there was only one, because again, I was a big fan of Rappin Fundamental. I was also a big fan of artists like Cool J Rap and other guys on the album. But I was looking for that riff song, and it wasn't there. So I always sort of knew, okay, there's promo versions out there. It took me a long time to actually get my hands on it, because I would see it around, but it was expensive. And so, I wasn't messing around with spending like $100 for it. But, eventually got it. And so the big natural question is, well, are there any other unreleased songs on the promo tape that's not on the album? And actually the answer is yes. So I don't know how it wants to focus on this really, but this is the track listing of the cassette version. It has everything that's on the final version, like it's not missing any songs. But besides the extra riff song, it's got 4, 4 other tracks. But don't get too excited, because 2 of those other tracks are just skits. One is an introduction, and one is an outro. The outro is just like a little voicemail message left on his phone by his phone, Easy Mo Bee's phone, by Notorious Big, which, first of all, it's just a voicemail message, so not that interesting. He doesn't even rap on it or anything. It's just a real quick voicemail message. And less interesting because if you're familiar with the album, he's already got voicemail message from Biggie Smalls on the album. So there's just another one. And I don't even really know. I mean, the only sort of impressive thing about it in the first place is to sort of be like, hey, I knew Notorious Big. But Easy Mo Bee, frankly, first of all, I think is big enough that he doesn't have to do that. If you were like a little independent producer who did like one record with Natural Elements in the 1990s and you're like trying to show, hey, I'm somebody, you say, hey, look, no, I had this message from Notorious Big. We were going to work together. This was a big deal. But I mean, Mo Bee did songs with Biggie Smalls and all that, and he's done so much. He's done everything. That, like, he did Miles Davis' last album. Which also featured Rappin Is Fundamental, naturally, of course. But I mean, so, like, he doesn't need to do that. And once you get past that, it doesn't add anything. It's not musical or interesting or compelling. Biggie Smalls doesn't say anything, like, funny or creative. So, who cares? The other skit, the intro, is a little more interesting because it's an instrumental. It says featuring Biz Markie, live in New York. But what it sounds like is it's just a real quick vocal sample of Biz Markie being looped, because he just says 2 sentences over and over again. It's definitely a loop. So I don't think Biz Markie was necessarily artistically involved with this. I think he just sort of made a beat of a recording of Biz Markie live. But so it's a nice little introduction, and actually, like, if you listen to the album all the way through, it does sound more natural to start with this introduction. Like, so you listen to this tape, it flows together better than if you just start the full album. It sounds a little bit jarring, like, oh, we're just kind of in it. So having the instrumental there actually works. I don't understand why they took it off. I mean, maybe Biz Markie did have some input and they didn't want to cut him a check. Because otherwise, I mean, it's not amazing. It's not even one of the better beats on the album. It's kind of a simplistic, break, but it's cool, and it helps the album, and it's like 30 seconds long, so I don't know, they're not like saving any time. So I don't know why they took it off. But so, okay. Those are the other tracks on here, except that's 3, and there's one more, and this one actually really is exciting. In fact, as a huge riff fan, that's why I bought this album. That's what's exciting to me. Unreleased riff song. But one of the other artists on the other song that got cut off is actually a much bigger artist, probably much more interesting to you guys, probably a much bigger deal to everybody watching this video, so I probably totally buried the lead. You know what, maybe I'll put his name in like the title just to let you guys know in advance. It's Craig Mack, plus the Soul Survivors. And you might not know who the Soul Survivors are, but they're another group that Easy Mo Bee was kind of managing and working with. They had a 12-inch out, like a split 12-inch out with Rappin Is Fundamental. And they were pretty good. I'm not entirely sure or even clear like on who is a member of Soul Survivors. It doesn't help that there are several groups who are all known as Soul Survivors, including in other genres of music. All spelled S-O-U-L, Soul Survivors, pun. But this particular Soul Survivor, because they've done so little and they don't have any real official releases out except for that split 12-inch and all, nothing crediting the members. And on one of their songs, it sounds like Rappin Is Fundamental is singing on it, and maybe even AB Money is rapping on it, it sounds like. So I don't know, because also Soul Survivors was the name of the record label that Easy Mo Bee put out the independent Rappin Is Fundamental single. Like, that was his record label, Soul Survivors. So I suspect maybe Soul Survivors, the group, might just kind of loosely mean, like, you know, Easy Mo Bee's posse, his collective, and it's not really a defined group of, like, you know, he's a rapper, he's a DJ, we are the Soul Survivors. It might just sort of be whoever Easy Mo Bee is working with, you know, at the time that isn't a defined act. So that could be a thing. Or maybe it does sound like there are a couple of younger MCs on all the Soul Survivors songs. So maybe it is like two guys who are the Soul Survivors. I don't know for sure. But anyway, they're fine. They're pretty good. And their song features Craig Mack. And again, Craig Mack, especially in 2000, you know, this was kind of before he did some of his comeback stuff, and, you know, people started saying, oh, what is he doing, like religious rap and Christian rap and stuff like that. So hearing him come back was pretty exciting. So I'm really surprised they took him off. I think he would have gotten just more attention for his album by virtue of having Craig Mack on it. And on top of that, he sounds great on it. I mean, I'm not necessarily a huge Craig Mack fan. Certainly, Flavor in Your Ear was the jam, and like I loved it at the time it came out just as much as everybody did. Like, I was totally on it. And then when the remix came out, wow, that blew my mind. And even when I listen back to it, like, I don't feel like, oh, well, gee, that's why I liked way back in the 90s. No, I'm like, you know what? That still holds up. That's really dope. Like, his voice, his flow, and the way he kind of just spits over that beat. Like, the beat's cool and addictive and funky, and I think produced by Easy Mo Bee now I think about it. But the way he rhymes over it, and it's not like he's saying anything brilliant or even particularly interesting, but the way he puts the words together and all sounds fantastic. That holds up immensely. And I like his old, you know, MC Troop, Sleeping Bag record stuff. So I'd say I'm a fan, like a casual fan of Craig Mack. Like, once he came out with his second album and all, I don't really, never needed that in my collection or anything. But he sounds really great here. And he meshes pretty well to Soul Survivors. And it's a great track. It's more of a hardcore, edgy kind of track, which, you know, Easy Mo Bee, probably partially because he's a member of R.I.F, has a very kind of strong R&B influence into his music a lot, and so sometimes there's a lot more. In fact, he also often produces straight R&B songs. But when he does hip-hop, like, he'll sometimes give them a more kind of soulful R&B-ish kind of beat, which works for a lot of guys and all, but this is more of a hardcore street, you know, kind of sound. So that sounds cool. Craig Mack, again, sounds great on this, so I'm really surprised they left it off. So some of you guys might be more interested in hearing that than a R.I.F song. So I guess that's it, really. This is the tape, Easy Mo Bee, just, you know, promo cassette of the Odyssey album. No other versions feature these tracks. You know, all the rest are just the same basic 12-inch, whether you get on vinyl, whether you get a UK pressing, all that stuff. They're all the same album, except for that promo version. And it's not that hard to find. Like, there's a Discogs listing for it. In fact, I think there's one or two people selling copies on Discogs right now of it. But more just that it's pricey. And in fact, it's probably be even more pricey, except I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that there are bonus tracks on it. You know, because you just see, every album has promo tapes. And 99.9% of them are exactly the same as a retail release album. So it's almost like, why would you want it unless you're just a diehard collector of everything? Because it's the same as an album, except a lot less album art, and, you know, it doesn't look as nice. So you'd rather get the official version, except in these rare instances when there's cool promo tracks. So here we go. Let's jump into some clips. We'll start out with R.I.F, Three Bros, and then we'll go into Soul Survivors featuring Craig Mack. Unreleased Easy Mo Bee tracks, which should get released someday. No, wait, I almost forgot. Before we get into all that, speaking of unreleased tracks, by the way, this is like a little bonus. I don't have this because it's never been commercially released except on a DJ Clue mixtape. But originally, there was going to be a song on the Bad Boys soundtrack. You know, the Will Smith movie Bad Boys, the first one. There was going to be a bonus, or not a bonus song, just another song on the album, but it got taken off, so it was unreleased, which featured R.I.F, Chubb Rock, Das EFX, and Kool G Rap, Posse Cut. It's only on this old DJ Clue mixtape, and then when it got dropped, you know, it just disappeared, and so it's not on any. I even looked at, like, promo copies of the Bad Boy soundtrack. It's not on there, but it is online. So definitely search for it online, because that's a great lineup. It's, again, produced by Easy Mo Bee. Not necessarily one of his best instrumentals. In fact, in a way, I can kind of see why it got taken off the album, but just hearing that lineup is totally worth it, and Kool G Rap kills it. And so then the last thing I just want to touch on was what I hinted at in the beginning, was that, you know, are R.I.F still together? For a while, a couple of years ago, I was looking them up online. JR had a MySpace page, which tells you how long ago I was looking, and he had some new solo material on there, which sounded good. Some of it was just like straight R&B, but he also had some classic doo-hop kind of stuff. He seemed like he was working on his own stuff. AB Money, of course, had the Platinum Ice kind of stuff with Easy Mo B, which I already blogged about. But more recently, he's been doing new music. He's got a music video of a fantastic song called Too Young. I mean, really great. Look it up, AB Money, Too Young. Off of his upcoming album, Gumbo, which hasn't come out yet, but could come out like any day now. I don't know. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be an MP3 only thing, but still, AB Money, produced by Easy Mo B, that's going to be a killer album. So I don't know if JR has drifted away, or if it's just a coincidence that AB is doing like his solo album and JR was doing some solo stuff, and maybe they work together solo all the time. I don't know. Okay, so now you can hear the unreleased tracks. Riff first, then Soul Survivors featuring Craig Mack. Here we go.
How you feel? Brooklyn, for my peoples in the streets. Easy Mo with the new and improved. Brother, move on, get your move on. Get to stepping with the shoes on. Feel froggy and leap, the heat about to hit you. You know you get the picture. Go on, boy, forget you. Brothers in the alley, the sisters in the streets. You wanna shake my hand, but not now. Your jealous peeps got you rapping like deal was happening. Gossip got you trapped in. Kid, you try real hard, but nothing's happening. I'm constantly waxing. Spent your loot, now pay your taxes. I blew you off your axes. Target shooting for practice. Many lack this. But yet and still I'm about to crack it. Soul survivor with the full metal jacket. Mr. Bully, pack up. Count your stacks and grab your coat. This is a ball. Racks up, and that's all she wrote. Instigating situations. You looking for confrontation. You wasting your race for the finish line. Tie your laces. Remember these faces. No traces, just kick the dust up. You talking loud, but saying nothing, so hush your fuss. You ain't taking no money with you when you die. Not even honey. Say bye-bye to Mr. Fly Guy. Son of speed. The greed leads to a beat. Lyrical uppercuts plus rebuke all your demons. It's so hard, but yet they still try to defeat these three brothers coming out of Bed-Stuy. It's so hard, but yet they still try to defeat these three brothers coming out of Bed-Stuy. Raise your hands, Brooklyn in the house. Keep it right there till we say now. It's so hard, but yet they still try to defeat these three brothers coming out of Bed-Stuy.
Boom, just like a landmine. My rhymes are so fat, they deserve a shrine. Crush your spine. Illest mankind, nigga, shit is going down like we on Sunjet. I want the same size plate as Big Pun get. The architect with bricks like the Bronx, nigga. What you figure? I wasn't intoxicating like your liquor. A Magnum walking around and I wouldn't squeeze my trigger. Cold as the Harlem River. Fuck that. Greg Mack, about to blast you niggas. On my dick like Fox Browns on jiggers. It's the funk flavor, I blaze inside your transmitters. Born to get yous, kick like Jackie Chan pictures. Mack is back with style ridiculous. My man is Easy Mo B. My rhymes are like the hardest to see. Scavengers from the desert, approach with the omnibus. Ain't no stopping this. Pure desert communist tactics. Legal or illegal is perpetuous. Treacherous for those that think that they can step to this.